and
it's oddly like super accurate right now though. A lot of that is like, because even like, even going back to like the donkey thing, as hilarious as that is, it's like that's so spot on in like the type of person that I would like value. And then it's like, and then the flowers, like it's tightly knit like a row, whatever. We were just talking about that. It's like how I like just perceive people, like once you're inside, like I'm like a loyal dog, like I'm there, right? So it's really interesting, man. That's wild.
But see, that's why I wanted to talk about this, because this is actually really like cool. You know, it's quite insightful.
Really like on par with a lot of like, especially where I'm at right now. It's like, what? Like,
that's why I love these psychological experiments.
Yeah,
stuff, right?
I'd like to do it like a year later and see what that, like, would something change?
Well, hopefully you don't remember what your answers were from the first time. Because I feel like that might play. I mean, you could forget. Yeah.
You know how crappy memory is?
Change?
You'd forget. There's no way you'd remember
That's one thing that's funny about memory too, though, is like sometimes like I have like just weirdly, oddly specific memories about trivial things that don't even really matter, you know? Yeah. But then at the same time, there's like big things that have happened in my life that I can hardly recall. I mean, I know it happened because I hear about it and I do things, but
I'm listening.
But I don't know. Yeah, memory is strange.
Memory's terrible. So like, our brain autofills information, right?
Well, because that's it. Like, it wants to keep useful, current information, things that we want to use, but then like a lot of old stuff, it'll just put through the recycling.
No. So it's an evolutionary mechanism, so you don't go insane.
Yeah. I guess if we remembered absolutely everything that ever happened to us, that would be
that's called overstimulation.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. Which you wouldn't even be able to move. Actually, I mean, that's kind of like, they talk about like how autistic children and stuff, they deal with stuff like that, right?
Right.
But
I guess even like trauma and stuff, somebody's been through really
and then trauma is now like
out those memories, and
you can block them out, but what's weird is you'll have like a physiological response. So like you could not remember that something happened to you, but let's say you're watching like a certain scene on a movie or something like that, and all of a sudden you'll just start sweating and stuff like that, or what have you, or you'll have a freak out, or you like won't want to be around
triggers and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, it's because subconsciously your brain knows what's going on. It's trying to stop.
Tell you that this is bad. This is something that you don't want to be there for.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like memory's so weird. Like so your brain's designed to tell you that what you're believing is real, and that's important because like if I don't think that what I'm seeing or understand or think of is real, then like how do I function, right? Like I have to be able to actually cope with the environment I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Right? And what's like weird about the whole thing is that what it'll do is it'll fill in all the information that's needed to do certain things. Like your brain will intentionally, if you have a gap in memory, fill in with some sort of information. Like there's been studies and things like that done where people swear that they did something. Like there was one I was just reading where it was like the how did the actual thing go? It was like they were trying to recall. So it was two people sitting there, and the one person was like
trying to remember something.
No, tying their shoelace or whatever, right? That's kind of silly, but whatever, just for the sake of example, right? Yeah. So they're like tying to their shoelace or whatever, and they tell the person like, okay, who tied the shoelace? It's like, oh, you did. And then they would get them to come back a month later and be like, okay, last time you were here, who tied the shoelace? And then they'll go, oh, I did. Like you will believe, like your brain will take that information, it'll fit it into other things in relation, so that you can actually like experience the experience.
So you almost like write your own narrative and stuff.
Well, you do all the time.
That's the thing
you do all the time.
I've
wild,
noticed it with certain people.
Wild.
Like I know, like my mom. Bless her heart.
Parents are like notorious for it. Right?
Changes stories or like whether it's over exaggeration, or if she just remembers something a little
or
wrong.
Or maybe it was your brother and not you, or whatever.
Or something like that. But and then your memory plays it in a different way, right? So
it's
interesting.
And what's crazy is you ask these people, and you're like, hey, like you said this is real, and they believe that. They can't unbelieve it, because your mind, it won't allow you to. It's very hard for your mind to allow itself to be wrong. That's why there's a lot of conflict about issues, right?
Well,
because
that's why so often somebody will swear they remember
yes.
something a certain way.
Yeah.
Because it's I'm right. Everybody wants to be right.
But that's a function of our brain. So it's what allows us to keep going as a human being. Because if I'm not right, that means I'm questioning my entire sanity, my whole self. And if I have to do that, let's say I had to do that every 5 minutes, how am I supposed to survive?
Yeah.
Right? It's like being a schizophrenic.
Well, who knows?
At that point, your mind is so disconnected with what's real and what's not. And
you question what anything happened.
So a properly functioning mind will just auto-fill that information and be like, no, you're right. And that's why you'll sit across from somebody and be like, hey, man, I have the videotape right in front of you. And you could show them, and they'll be like, that never I don't even remember that. Right? It's a very real phenomenon. It's very weird because we put so much onus on memory. We put people to jail for their entire lives.
Yeah.
Right? Based off of the memory of somebody who's I swear I saw this person.
Witness
the other day I saw
a
statement on Reddit.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this?
I don't know.
No, this guy on Reddit, this poor guy, man, spent 28 days in jail because this girl misremembered. This woman misremembered and said he was the rapist or whatever, and it wasn't him. And they finally got it all figured out because the system and all that takes forever. You got to go through these appeal processes, whatever. 28 years he was in jail.
Shit.
Based off of nothing. And this happens all the time, right? People say this stuff and they're like, no, we're for sure. Now, I mean, that's not to undercredit anybody that these things actually happen to, because real things happen, right? But you'd be surprised at how sure everyone and everything is about what they did or saw, when really it's nah, man, you were wrong.
Yeah.
And again, it's very hard to tell another human being hey, you're wrong, because they'll be like, no, it's here. I know, and you're like, well, and that's why it's so weird with technology the way it is right now, because you're finding a lot of that, right?
Well, I guess,
human beings
all of a sudden
know
you've got
what they look like.
Video evidence or something of it, and somebody's describing. And that's the thing. Maybe they're not even lying. They're just sure. They know it because they were there. Sure, they're still a witness. They're not trying to lie about it, but they just it's the way the mind works. And then all of a sudden you have legitimate video evidence of what happened, and they're like, "Oh, really?"
No, for sure, they're not lying. They've just filled in the information, and it happens so often, and that's why it's so weird. That's why with technology moving the way that it is, it's going to be so odd. The day that this whole idea of Neuralink and all that happens, right? When we're finally connected to machines in a sense where we can, that Black Mirror episode or whatever, where we can remember and rewind everything. That's going to change the entire dynamic of how humans interact, right? Because now it's no longer
it's literally because everything ever done is on record.
Yeah, everything.
And you can just show it to anybody.
Yeah. And we're pretty much we're very close.
We're pretty close.
Now.
Everybody's got their cell phones, right? Or but.
Well, or someone's always recording. We're pretty close now. We still have a few spots that are left.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was like, this is probably why advertising right now is a massive push towards privacy, and it makes sense. If you're developing technologies that are going to take away privacy completely, what's the best way to sell that to human beings? Is to tell them that your technology keeps you private. So they're going to do that. They're going to eventually what will happen is they'll be connected to you, and they'll be like, yeah, but we promise we're going to keep your data private. That's why you should connect to us.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
Because that's going back to Black Mirror. I think it was Black Mirror. It might have been the like the Facebook, like social networking kind of one.
They had the one
where
if you were cool if you were a nicer person.
Yeah, like you get the ratings or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it was that episode. I might be wrong, but I remember seeing something that it was you could block a person.
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know
if that was the image memory one or if that was the social network one or whatever the fuck it was. Oops.
Throw it in the swear jar. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was like you could literally block a person. So you could essentially block everyone you didn't know or didn't care about or whatever. So everyone you look at is all just blurs wandering around, and you don't see or hear anything.
Could you imagine that? Like you're ghosted in real life in that sense. Like think about that for a second. Like your significant other, whatever, hates you right now or whatever. So they just like block you. So you're trying to talk to them and stuff, and you just can't even have a discussion.
You can't even hear it. I wonder how that would work with writing.
With what?
Writing. Like,
writing?
Like, because I can't speak to you now, you can't see me, blah, 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 like that whole block thing. But what if I write a message on the wall? Could you see that?
I don't know.
Or do you think because I did that...
That's version 2.0, bud.
No, that's the thing, yeah. That's interesting to explore. Or like, let's say...
That's Black Mirror episode 6.
For example, there was a scientist that invented a technology.
Okay, that's what they do.
You have them sometimes they just research. They don't all invent.
I know.
They don't all invent things.
I know, I believe.
But let's say
yeah.
he invents a new product, but because it's something from him, would that be blocked too? Would you not be able to perceive that?
I don't know.
Does it block everything that they do in their life?
Yeah.
So like, let's say they have like a new, like, let's say Tesla, the first self-driving car or whatever. Let's say that guy invented that, but you got him blocked. Could you see those cars, or would they be blurs?
Yeah, see, and now you're getting right into it. Like
no, that's what I mean though. Like,
I think so.
I'm
Again,
just
I think
boiling
no,
it
I
down,
get it. But what I'm thinking about for that is like, I think what you're looking at there is like, that's kind of an analogy for like where we're at just in communication in general. Is like you have certain spaces that have like just arbitrarily drawn lines in the sand and said you can and can't say or do this or act this way or whatever, but they're not based on like law, they're not based on even like morality, right? They're based on just like ideology, right? Like because somebody believes something,
right? Which
is a very like interesting thing. I think that's why there's a lot of like conflict, right? Because when you follow ideologies, like you're taking away agency from individuals, right? You're basically saying if you're not on my team, then you're just wrong. Which is
it's almost like if you're not with me, you're against me.
Yeah. It's the us or them, right? Like, classic us or them, and it's very like that. It's kind of crazy because you were the one who told me that, where you're like you were talking about like cancel culture and stuff, and it was like how it's such a real phenomenon that people feel that like it's important to not talk.
Yeah,
that's so weird to me. Like,
well, that's the thing because
everything we know says that talking is a better way to do things. Communication, like we're social beings.
People are scared to be social now.
Exactly.
Because if I don't,
that's what you were getting.
If I don't present you with some kind of ideological, point or something that everybody, the general consensus is on board with or something like that. Like, it doesn't even need to be something so polarizing as like racial topics or like religion or something like that. Like, let's say it's something simple about like, like your opinions on a character in a story or something.
Oh, that happens all the time.
But like, let's say like everybody loves this character or something, and like, or even like video games or Star Wars. There you go, prime example.
Right.
People hate each other
over. Yeah,
like if it's like
you think the original three?
You think the prequels are good?
You think
like
they're good?
You're done, man. Like
or the one I hear all the
your
all
opinion's
the time.
worthless.
The Hobbit sucked. I'm like, what? Like, I love The Hobbit.
It's funny you say that because I kind of think The Hobbit sucked.
Yeah,
I
know.
To be fair, I still enjoyed the movies because like it was still fun to watch.
It was fun.
But just like between the use of like a lot of the CGI and like some of like the weird, like when they all are in those barrels and they're floating